the potential market is relatively low. So we came up with the 6 pillars of wellness philosophy.
The approach is being done, in a very smart way too.
We wanted to develop a program that was clinical.
So anyone who's done NAD plus subcutaneously know that it's uncomfortable.
I still take NAD plus the majority of the time through IV.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Today on Becoming Limitless, I'm joined by Iain de Havilland, founder and global CEO of NAD Clinic Group. Before entering into the longevity industry, Iain spent more than 20 years working in the high-pressure world of global finance. Now, constant travel, stress, and unsustainable lifestyle eventually led him towards burnout and forced him to reconsider what real performance means. Now, his personal experience with NAD Plus became the catalyst for a new mission: to understand cellular health, improve human performance, and make longevity medicine accessible to more people. Now, since launching NAD Clinic in 2016, Iain has helped take NAD Plus therapies and personalized wellness protocols into markets around the world. Today, we will explore the science, the controversy, and the commercial reality behind performance and longevity medicine, while asking a bigger question: can we build longer lives without first learning how to live better? Iain, welcome to Becoming Limitless.
Thank you for inviting me, Elie. I'm looking forward to the conversation and hopefully explaining a little bit more about what I do, what we do, and how to, for our listeners, to how to optimize their own lives.
Yeah, so our journeys overlap with a few people that we know, but we've never actually met in person. So I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more. And obviously, I know quite a bit already. And the other day we had a good conversation that was so fascinating. And I'd love for us to start there. Like, how did you get into this? Before we get into what you actually do, which we will get to, I'd love to know your journey from where you were in that world and to this world. How did that happen?
Well, to be honest, it was kind of by chance. I was working in finance, actually working as part of a London brokerage, but I was based primarily out in Asia. And it was during a period when it was kind of became a little bit trendy in our industry anyway for people to go into rehabs.
Right.
And, I always used to sort of question when my friends, colleagues had been in these rehabs and sometimes were spending an incredible amount of money, what it was like. And it became apparent that the time spent away from their careers and their families was actually more detrimental to their I guess, their health than the underlying cause and the rationale or the reason why they actually went into rehab in the first place. It got to such a state that, that people were actually pre-booking rehab stays months in advance. And I started to sort of be a bit curious, and I was introduced to someone I knew who was quite senior in the sort of addiction and rehab industry, and he explained the model to me, that it was kind of antiquated. It was developed in the late 60s in the US, primarily around an insurance model. And so we started chatting, and we came up with the idea that there was a kind of I guess, not reinventing the wheel, but there was a better way to do this. So we were looking to develop a rehab new model whereby the focus would be on detoxing, getting people's heads right, but then there was an aftercare program, and there was less time spent in residential rehabilitation. And so we were looking for protocols to achieve this, and someone nonchalantly introduced us to NAD+. We did a little bit of research. At the time, there was only a handful of clinics or rehabs around the world promoting NAD+ IV therapy. The majority of these are in the US, on the West Coast. There was one major player in Mexico, and there was a kind of NAD plus movement down in South Africa. I did some research into NAD plus, learned a little bit about, well, quite a lot actually, about what it does on a cellular level, on a physiological level, and more importantly, I did a course of NAD plus myself. And although the first day I tried it, it was really uncomfortable and unpleasant. I felt some sort of significant change, and so I did 5 days of consecutive days, effectively a program. And I couldn't really believe how kind of rejuvenated I felt on a physical level, and more importantly on a kind of cognitive and mental level. So I started to ask as to why NAD plus IV therapy was solely an addiction protocol, and I was asking a number of medical professionals and scientists, and nobody could give me a reasonable answer as to why it couldn't be used for people like me, people who was living these kind of high octane lives, always on the verge of burnout, a lot of us burning the candle at both ends. And so I did a bit more research. I found out that the original pioneers of NAD plus IV therapy were actually based in South Africa. Tracked these guys down. I was very fortunate to meet the original pioneers, and these people at the time were typically researchers, psychiatrists, and they also had which was key to me, they also had a formulation which was on a medical register, on the South African medical register, with the indication being alcohol detox.
Oh, wow.
So I'm kind of a business guy. These people weren't, and I realized that to commercialize NAD plus, and this is 2015, that there had to be a reworking, I guess, of what NAD plus could be used for. So, because addiction is stigmatized, and it's not an easy product to market, and obviously the potential market is relatively low. So we came up with the 6 pillars of wellness philosophy. I started working with a team down in South Africa, and we developed some protocols to support this. And the genesis for NAD Clinic was born, and we started to supply NAD plus to, at the time it was more rehabs, it was functional health practitioners, and people who were into, at the time it was anti-aging. It was kind of one of the key pillars was anti-aging, and that's how we got started. Obviously, unbeknown to me, longevity was a long way down the line, and that's how we sort of originally got.
So you combined these two worlds together, basically. So it just made sense that this happened. So in 2016, you started the what you call. I mean, I don't think the name is accurate. NAD Clinic. What is that exactly? What do you do, and where are they?
Well,
Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, well, NAD Clinic. The time, because NAD therapy was relatively unknown, we could have a choice of a million different things. Typically, when you were doing a domain search, I'm sure if you tried to figure out a domain search today for NAD, you probably wouldn't find anything. I mean, we took most of them, I think, back in the day.
Yeah.
But the reason I said clinic, because obviously we wanted to develop a program which was clinical. We've always stuck to our philosophy that we've always worked with medical professionals, even to today, although we've got sort of a direct consumer retail arm. And at the time I set up 2 clinics, and I set up a clinic in Cape Town, which I still actually have today, and I set up a clinic in Harley Street in London that I still have today. These were less about being, let's say, commercial clinical business. They were more to showcase what we were trying to do and the protocols, and it was the kind of start of the model whereby we were trying to introduce NAD plus as a different kind of intervention, about lifestyle, and a bunch of other supports. Metabolic syndrome was another one we were really focused on as well.
Right. So you've expanded quite a bit from that now, right? We'll go into that a little bit later, but it's not that now, right?
It's definitely not that now. I guess what today we are, I guess, an education and evidence-based purveyor of NAD plus, and obviously a
Mhm.
bunch of other performance meds, whose core business is supplying to many of the world's leading physicians, clinicians, medical spas, professional sports. We support Premier League, Bundesliga, World Boxing Association,
Right.
and also more recently, especially since COVID, hospitality, top tier hospitality is also
Right.
become, and spa has become quite a big part of our business, whereby they're orientating towards longevity, and we're there to sort of support them in developing um, protocols, or support some of their, or repurposing their traditional spa space into sort of into clinics, longevity clinics,
Right.
hubs.
Right. So, but what excites you so much about? Let's start with NAD plus now. We can go into other interventions later on. What excites you most about NAD plus? Are you still excited about it now, or has that excitement died down?
I'm still excited about it. I'm still a regular user of NAD plus. I've
Mhm.
got access to some of the best, let's say, alternative off-label and performance meds,
Mhm.
that they're out there. But NAD plus is my go-to choice, to supporting my own personal health. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. What's my focus around NAD plus? Obviously, we started with the clinical administration, and that is still a big part of our business. But what's
Mhm.
really excited me is the emergence, I suppose, what started through GLPs of kind of DIY administration at home, the flexibility that offers. So,
Yes.
and another big part of what we're trying to achieve now is the democratization of longevity. So,
Right.
delivering, super high-end products and protocols, which still achieve that, levels of efficacy, but bringing price points down, bringing and improving basic access. So that's a really exciting sort of focus for me and for the group at the moment, is how to support NED plus and the rest of our performance meds on a global basis, whilst I guess managing some of the challenges such as regulation and even maintaining things like cold chain. Obviously, we're
Yeah.
both in a really hot country now in Dubai, and it's
Yeah.
like there's a lot of nuances around making this work in terms of infrastructure, and in terms of or certainly when you start to scale like we have.
Of course. Yeah. No, it makes sense. Um, and your experience with NAD plus, how did it help you personally? I know we're all different. This is not a recommendation of any sorts. It's just for
hmm
you. How does it help you, and how do you take it?
I still take NED plus the majority of the time through IV,
Hmm.
um, just because I've got access to it, and I don't have maybe, and it's obviously the most optimal and bioavailable way of delivery, and because obviously the price point and the time, doesn't is relevant to me, because I've got access to it through our clinical networks, or
Right.
so. So yeah, that's how I administer it. How does it work for me? I think it's I've been doing now NED plus regularly for over a decade. I still do relatively the same protocols. Um, I combine it with high dose glutathione on a personal level. I do regular methylene blue,
Hmm.
and I combine it also with a quarterly course of exercise, and that's kind of my go-to protocol. But the anchor it really in all of this is NAD plus. And more recently, I've started using it through a DPI technology, which is basically pulmonary inhalation, which is
I'm very
another product.
excited about that. I want to hear all
Yeah,
about that. I'm
yeah.
I can't wait to get my hands on it. Actually, I'm waiting for it to arrive.
Okay.
While you mentioned it, let's talk about that. Tell us about that delivery.
Okay, so NEDRX NADRX is the brand name we've come up with. Myself and my in this particular project, my business partner Elie. It first came about. Erin's got a background in halotherapy, basically salt therapy,
Right.
and she's also developed as part of that therapy, she developed a pocket-sized inhalable version of halotherapy.
Right.
And one day I met her a few years ago at the Global Wellness Summit, and she was demonstrating this, and it sort of made something twig in my mind, thinking, I wonder if we could do something similar with NAD Plus. At the time, that her device was quite rudimentary, so we've been playing around for a couple of years in terms of R&D. And then we had the sort of brainwave, or I had the brainwave to look at like respiratory drugs for COPD, asthmatics, and take that technology, which has been proven for 50 plus years now, and kind of re-engineer it for nutraceuticals. The first one we developed in terms of formulation was NAD Plus. It's NAD Plus, sodium chloride, and a leucine as an excipient. And I think it's a game changer. It alleviates so many of the friction points. Apart from that, outside of an IV, it's the most bioavailable delivery method there is. Pulmonary delivery. Secret to it is the particle size of the NAD Plus, or whatever formulation. We've got a bunch of formulations with patents submitted as well. Is that it has to be between 1 and 5 microns. So it has to be sterile, precision milled to make sure it's sort of it's got maximum absorption, which is safe into the alveoli, the basic linings of the lungs. Yeah.
And how is it? You do it daily? Is it when you need it? Does it come with a protocol? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a daily application. It's what the first dosage is 60 milligrams of active NAD plus in a capsule. Once we recommend 1 to 2 capsules a day, so that's kind of 120 milligrams per day of the same formulation effectively as we put into our IVs. Nothing's changed. It's fully validated, GMP produced. We believe that's the optimal dosage. I think if let's say you're under a stressful lifestyle, like we do with subcutaneous pens or even an IV, in your life you're sort of under some pressure, then there's obviously no reason as to why you can't sort of increase that level. But 1 to 2 capsules, so 120 milligrams a day, is kind of what we recommend. Some other benefits of it: you don't need cold chain. Effectively, you don't need to keep it refrigerated. You've got no sterile injectables, so it's a lot more regulatory friendly. Crosses borders are much easier. Right. And for the most part, it's considered a dietary supplement. So we are super excited about the original formulation, which is, as I mentioned, but we've got 2 other great formulations on the way forward. One is we're really excited about, and I had a great meeting today about this with quite an influential organization, which is to support the cessation of smoking and nicotine addiction. So with a primary target of reducing nicotine dependence in e-cigarettes, vapes, traditional cigarettes, and aligned to the fact that the price point, because there is a lot less involved in forms of testing, because the cost price is a lot less than even a subcutaneous pen. We're hoping that this can open up some incredible markets, such as continental Africa, India, Asia, where there's big population bases, and more often than not, some of these, even the middle classes, can't afford a lot of the longevity interventions, which you'd need to sort of visit a clinic for. So this is a big part of my philosophy is to like democratize longevity effectively through finding next generation delivery methods.
Yeah. Yeah. I've come across sublingual delivery for NAD.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, so anyone who's done NAD plus subcutaneously know that it's uncomfortable. It can be painful when you do it. So you feel it. And to have,
Well, I mean, just correct you there, Ellie, a little bit. I mean, I think that depends on where you source it from, because again, we think we've got the best product in the market
uh-huh.
on the subcut pen. We, we spent a long lot of over 12 months just working on the formulation and on the pH levels to reduce that sting and that burn.
Right.
So we believe we've alleviated that. So, but I know what you mean, because some of the products on the market, and that they're, let's say, they're disappointing, or they're kind of poorly made, and they're supported with pretty bad technology in terms of people just buy off the shelf
Right.
soft cut pens, and they're from China or something, and they don't put any kind of thought process. It's just a money making objective.
Of
Whereas
course, yes.
because we supply to doctors and clinics primarily, we've
Uh-huh.
got to make sure our products are both obviously safe, and they're efficacious, but also the user experience has got to be second to none as well.
Yeah, so true. Absolutely. What I was trying to say also is that because of the new delivery method, you at least bypass that. Like for those that are
100%.
sensitive, you bypass that. And even with IVs, some people have less tolerance, and they feel the chest weight and like a few other
Yeah.
things when you're doing large amounts. So having a delivery like that is pretty exciting for me, where you're hopefully not experiencing any of these. As I said, I'm looking forward to experience it, and I'll also
100%.
as usual. Well, that's great. Let's move on quickly into, because obviously this is a small part of a larger empire that you're building when it comes to longevity in general. So tell me about, what do you think of the state of that industry at the moment, and where do you see it going in the next couple of years, especially for our region here in the GCC and MENA region?
Well, do you know what? I think at the moment there is a saturation of noise. I think
Hmm.
there's obviously a lot of players, brands, they're popping up effectively like mushrooms.
Hmm.
They're more kind of brand and marketing companies than kind of genuine evidence and science-backed, organizations
Yeah.
who really want to sort of focus on delivering, best-in-class products. So I think that is going to, hopefully through regulation, and the right type of regulation, because I think regulation is a strange one. Obviously, it differs a lot around the world.
Yeah.
UK, for example, where I'm actually originally from, has a really strange regulation around NAD plus, for instance, and
Hmm.
which has allowed a kind of a rogue industry in this space to evolve, where there's no regulation on NAD plus. It doesn't matter about the route of administration. It doesn't matter if an NAD plus is being delivered as an IV. It's still considered a dietary supplement, which is completely wrong.
Hmm.
So I think regulation is playing a part again in peptides. Things are changing all the time. But I guess talking about the Middle East and especially the UAE, I think we're kind of blessed here, because even at government level, they seem to be so open-minded, so progressive, so behind longevity
Yes.
and this new world. And it's super for me. It's super refreshing, and that's probably one of the driving reasons that after giving a lot of consideration, that we are actually effectively going to anchor our business here in the Middle East. I know it's going through a bit of a challenging period right now, but Dubai is really where we're going to position our business, and which we strongly believe is going to future proof our
Yeah.
growth. So yeah, I'm very pleased about the region, and that expands into, I guess, the GCC and into MENA. I think there's a massive appetite. There's also I guess there's a lot of the other fundamentals here what work as from a commercial perspective, because the population of the Middle East and MENA actually, I guess, have got a kind of an unfortunate statistic whereby they tend to suffer, especially through things like metabolic conditions
Yeah.
and diabetes and things. These kind of conditions are really what lend themselves to the products and protocols and interventions that we're developing. So I think just naturally there's a huge market, both from a medical or stroke clinical perspective, and also the longevity stroke performance, the human optimization model, which is obviously core to what we do. So I think it's shaping up quite nicely actually, and we're pleased to be part of the future of the region.
Yeah, so I think we're in this region, we're so ahead of the rest of the world. It's amazing. We're, as you said, and you put it rightly, we're super fortunate to be in the space here right now. The potential is incredible. And it's the approach is being done, in a very smart way too. I'm so excited about what the region is going to offer, and all of the major players like yourself, what they're going to bring to the table, and we're going to bring for lifestyle optimization for people to take more responsibilities in their own lives, go into proper healthcare and sick care as it's been for many decades. Hopefully, we'll see that come to fruition much quicker in this region than it does anywhere else, and I'm very excited about that. Now, just a side note question: is there any because obviously you are really well tuned in on the space and what is happening, not just in the region but globally. What sort of hype have you come across that thought, how could that happen? Just out of my own interest, because that's one thing that I keep an eye on myself too. Hype annoys me because it's just it's like wildfire, and as you said, it's run by marketers, and it's just frustrating. I just want to, help people understand the difference between proper human performance and lifestyle optimization, and all of the stuff that are being hyped up, I think, for the wrong reason.
Well, I think that hype, that noise, I think it's it's obviously dominates social media. I'm very fortunate. I took a decision 15 years ago to drop out of social media. Apart from maintaining a LinkedIn profile, I don't even look at social media. So I guess I'm a little bit, obviously we maintain a social media presence ourselves to an extent, but more focused on a B2B, that I don't really get to see a lot of this noise, but I hear about it and I see it. And I think the dangerous thing is when everybody seems to be a pseudo, longevity specialist, stroke medical professional, and everyone's kind of selling off-label meds, performance meds, longevity meds, NAD plus, peptides, willy-nilly, and this is kind of obviously it's hard to police from the regulators. And if you're not under any form of regulation, or not a brand at our level or our size, and when we can't afford to, and we wouldn't want to anyway, cut corners or make medical claims, then this is kind of scary and wrong, and I'm worried that, and I'm sure it's already happened, and that people are going to get hurt. People are going to have pretty bad situations from a health perspective, as well as things just not working effectively. So for me, the most important thing, and that's why we've kind of well invested in education and training academies, and more recently we've joined forces with the Geneva College of Longevity Science, develop education and pathways and to train medical professionals. The most important thing to me is that if someone's serious about optimizing their health, their performance, or even more so if they've got underlying medical conditions that they need to recover for, and they want to, let's say, use an alternative to conventional medicines, they need to see a doctor. They need to see a doctor who understands performance and longevity meds. They need to see a professional. And obviously, as part of that plan or that program, they need to be using diagnostics. Without metrics, it's kind of most of the time it becomes an anecdotal, even if it's through a consultation with a doctor and there's no kind of diagnostics involved as well. It's kind of difficult for someone to ascertain someone's true physiological kind of state. It's the scariest thing for me at the moment is I guess this I don't know, tidal wave of people on listening to TikTok doctors or Instagram 20-second about how to use peptides, much more so than NAD plus, and for this very reason that we've just set up our own new brand called Phi Peptides, which is Phi, obviously the golden ratio of human form and precision in biology. We believe we're gonna change the game in this space, and we'll do that through super professional telemedicine platforms. There'll be no prescribing any kind of off-label medicines, performance medicines, to anyone who's not had a full consultation and gone through our diagnostic program. So then we can obviously work towards obtaining optimal outcomes for the clients who engage with us, and we're super excited about this project. So yeah.
So these are professionally trained. When you say doctors, because there's obviously you've had experience with that too, as you mentioned the other day. Like still unfortunately, maybe 8 out of 10 doctors are still very resistant to this. There are many reasons. We won't go into that right now. But it has to be a professional who has done the work and is trained for this specifically. And this is why I love GCLS and what they're working on, because that quality of work and that standard is just unrivaled, in my opinion. And so I'm thrilled that you're partnering with them. And I love what they do, and obviously I'm part of the team with them too. I completely agree with you, and I completely agree with there's a reason that you don't. It's not the same as working on your car if you're a hobby mechanic. And you tinkle a little bit. If something is broken, you could eventually kind of do something about it. But when you're doing that to your own health, it's not the way forward. You need someone who understand the nuances, and diagnostics, as you so rightfully said, they're so incredibly moving forward in such a speed in the same domain that you are in too. I mean, they're moving. There are so many beautiful things happening there too, and they give you proper guidance. Like I love diagnostics, and again, just like everything, you can tip to the other side and end up having too many numbers and too many biomarkers, and certain companies are even competing with the number of biomarkers that they serve, and all of that. So there's noise on that side too. Finding that middle ground is sometimes gets harder, but I hear you completely. But
I think on the noise, just going back to your previous question as well, I think one of the I guess my sort of big bugbears is medical professionals, and typically there are a lot of medical professionals in the conventional space who are kind of, I don't know, moving across to the functional health kind of side of things, or longevity geroscience, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of them don't really do a lot of training, but they want to be longevity doctors because it's cool and it's trendy, and
they just tend to change the title. They just add the word.
Just change the title. This to me is almost as frustrating as these TikTok doctors or PTs or whatever, all over effectively selling black market products without any kind of training or a medical license. So I think it's frustrating, and it's dangerous, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. And then you have another wave of doctors that completely dismiss the whole space as if it's all of it is. So but
And
yeah, I mean,
scientists,
and scientists, yeah, that's true.
they're the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's got to go through the teething problems, and then eventually, common sense will prevail. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Iain. I mean, we can talk forever about all these things, and I hope to see you soon so we could talk a little bit more about this. But thank you for being so generous with your time and your information and all of the stuff that you've learned. And I look forward to seeing what you do next, because you seem to have been, a forerunner in everything that you've done. So I can't wait to see what you do next, and to catch up about it.
Appreciate your time, Elie, and the AirX is in the post.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.